100% made up of Canadians. They're fighting for the Americans. The Canadian Volunteers was a regiment that was raised a little bit after the Battle of Stoney Creek. I was raised out of disaffected Canadians living in the Niagara and all the way up here, actually. One of them actually owning a tavern in Ancaster prior to the war. And 153 men joined the ranks of the Canadian Volunteers to fight against the British. And they had a variety of reasons to do so, everything from a beef with a former neighbor to being recent American immigrants who had never given up their love of America, to some who believed that the British had begun acting, well, tyrannical in Canada in response to the war. So they have a variety of reasons to be fighting, but they definitely were trying to pick at a sore spot for the British, because you can spot them by the fact that they have green bands on their hats and a white cockade. A white cockade is the symbol of the Jacobites who had fought civil wars against the British for quite some time. And the green band is a symbol of free Ireland. So two things that the average British person is not going to be a fan of. And we're starting to get some troops coming out here with a good volley fire. I mentioned the problems with reliability of the muskets. They also aren't terribly accurate. The average musket, after 50 yards, good luck. At 100 yards range, the margin there is 9 feet in any direction. So the idea of the volleys is if everybody points and pulls their trigger at the same time and in the same direction, the reliability issue and the accuracy issue will both be canceled out by mass firepower. Now, you wouldn't usually have your entire line fire at the same time. You'd break them up into smaller groups, and they would fire one group at a time, kind of in a rolling fire across the battlefield. And if you time it properly, you're almost non-stop firing into the enemy. You could turn 800 men into a machine gun, essentially. As the armies were firing away at each other, you're starting to get a view of one of the other problems with fighting in this era, and that is smoke. Black powder produces 20 times its own volume in thick blue-gray smoke, so it did not take long for battlefields oftentimes to be choked with the smoke, and the visibility reduced significantly. Most soldiers said the first time you saw your enemy in the heat of battle was about 20 paces away in the thick smoke. At Lundy's Lane, they were less than 15 feet apart and didn't know it. So one of the most common questions people ask is, why did the British wear bright red? Well, if you have 20 paces to tell if someone is your friend or your foe, do you want to be wearing camouflage or something that screams out, "Don't shoot, I'm on your side"? It's the same reason why sports teams wear bright and elaborate uniforms.
You want to go walk around and find
It's
Antsy?
Identification. The troops that are going to be hiding are light troops. They're not going to be firing those big volleys, but even still, those guys are going to face friendly fire. For example, Kyle Lundy's Lane, the gray-coated American troops, there's record of them for 20 minutes getting shot at by both sides because no one could tell who they were. Now, as the bandsmen take the field, a lot of people see bands on the field as kind of anachronistic. It seems rather silly, particularly in the modern mindset. But in this time period, the fife and the drum were excellent communication tools. You would use them to communicate up and down the line. The drumming, typically for smaller groups of men. The fife, with the high-pitched sound that could be heard over a mile away, that's fantastic for cutting through that low din of the gunfire. So if you need to tell someone way on the other side of the battlefield what was going on, you would turn to one of your musicians, tell them what needed to be told, and they would relay it through music up and down the lines. I was wondering if I should warn you about the cannon, but I like hearing the oohs a lot more. I'll try to warn you in future, though. Sure, I will. It's excellent watching the maneuvers out here. You can see how the troops are trained. The average soldier is not trained like a modern soldier to think for himself and act independently. You are a piece of the machine. You go where you need to. Officers would shout orders and the men would move like clockwork across the battlefield. So it looks like the British are slowly pushing back the American forward guard, but they need to be careful because if the British bring up bring up reinforcements, they may be caught out in the open. General Vincent was very concerned about his army because if he lost this army, there was nothing stopping the enemy advance all the way to Kingston. So the British gun is going to be firing. That's one of the problems with Lindstock. Sometimes the end there can be a little bit touchy. It's actually noted that some Royal Artillery crews in the time period actually had a sort of flare, almost like a road flare, to ignite the guns. For obvious reasons, we do not carry road flares out on the battlefield, so you can just put that thought into your mind.